Growth isn't spiritual aesthetics, it's regulation. There's a version of spirituality that looks really good on the outside. Calm voice, soft lighting, crystals on the shelf, perfect morning routines. And yet, behind the scenes, the nervous system is still braced, still reactive, still collapsing or exploding under pressure. Because growth isn't spiritual aesthetics, it's regulation. Real spiritual power isn't how aligned you look. It's how you respond when you're triggered. It's how you handle disappointment without self-abandoning. It's how you stay present in discomfort instead of bypassing it with high vibes. Emotional maturity is spiritual power, and most people were never taught what emotional maturity actually looks like. Many of us were taught that spirituality means being calm all the time, being loving all the time, being above anger, grief, jealousy, fear. So we learned to perform peace instead of building capacity. We learned to label emotions instead of metabolizing them. We learned to bypass our humanity in the name of transcendence. But here's the truth that changes everything. If your nervous system is dysregulated, your spirituality will be performative. You can meditate for hours. You can journal daily. You can manifest, visualize, affirm, cleanse, and align. But if your body still goes into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn when life applies pressure, you're not grounded in power. You're managing symptoms. Emotional immaturity doesn't mean you're broken. It means you adapted. It means at some point it wasn't safe to feel fully. It wasn't safe to express needs. It wasn't safe to be messy, angry, confused, or uncertain. So your system learned strategies: over-explaining, people-pleasing, spiritual superiority, detachment disguised as enlightenment, silence disguised as peace. And spirituality became another place to hide. This is where many people get stuck on the path. They awaken, and then they dissociate. They open, and then they bypass. They let go, but only of the parts of themselves that feel inconvenient. True growth isn't about becoming less human. It's about becoming regulated enough to be fully human. Emotional maturity means you can feel a strong emotion without becoming it. It means you can experience disappointment without collapsing into shame. It means you can hear feedback without defensiveness hijacking your body. It means you can sit in uncertainty without rushing to control, fix, or spiritually justify it. That's not weakness. That's power. Because power isn't intensity, it's capacity. A regulated nervous system can hold contradiction. It can hold grief and gratitude at the same time. It can hold desire without desperation. It can hold boundaries without guilt. This is why emotional maturity changes your entire spiritual life. You stop asking, how do I manifest faster? And start asking, how do I stay present when I don't get what I want? You stop asking, how do I raise my vibration? And start asking, how do I repair after rupture? You stop chasing peak experiences and start building internal safety. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. Regulation isn't glamorous. It doesn't always feel expansive. It doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels boring. Sometimes it feels frustrating. Sometimes it feels like staying when you want to disappear. But regulation is what allows expansion to last. Without it, growth becomes a cycle of highs and crashes. Awakenings followed by burnout, breakthroughs followed by collapse, clarity followed by confusion. Emotional maturity is what stabilizes the awakening. It's what turns insight into embodiment. An embodiment is where spiritual power lives. Because a regulated person is hard to manipulate. A regulated person doesn't need constant validation. A regulated person doesn't outsource their authority. A regulated person can walk away without drama and stay without resentment. That's sovereignty. And sovereignty doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from learning how to stay with yourself. So what does emotional maturity actually look like in practice? It looks like noticing activation before acting on it. It looks like pausing instead of reacting. It looks like naming what's happening in your body instead of narrating a spiritual story about it. It looks like saying, "I'm activated right now," instead of, "This means I'm misaligned." It looks like allowing anger to move through your system without turning it into cruelty or suppressing it into illness. It looks like grieving without trying to heal it immediately. It looks like needing support without shaming yourself for it. This is the work beneath the work. And it's why so many people feel stuck despite doing everything right. Because growth doesn't happen when you escape discomfort. It happens when your system learns it can survive it. That's regulation. And regulation is a skill, not a personality trait, not a moral achievement, not something you either have or don't have. It's something you build, slowly, gently, repeatedly, through nervous system awareness, through emotional honesty, through repair, through rest, through learning when to push and when to pause. This is why emotionally mature people don't need to prove they're spiritual. You can feel it in their presence. There's space, there's groundedness, there's choice. They're not bypassing pain. They're metabolizing it. They're not avoiding triggers. They're curious about them. They're not chasing transcendence. They're integrated. And integration is power. If you've felt like your growth hasn't stopped, if you've cycled through awakenings followed by exhaustion, if you've felt spiritually aware but emotionally overwhelmed, nothing has gone wrong. Your system is asking for regulation, not another upgrade. So here's the invitation. Instead of asking how to become more spiritual, ask how to become safer inside yourself. Instead of trying to control your emotions, learn how to stay with them. Instead of chasing expansion, build capacity. Because emotional maturity isn't a detour from the spiritual path. It is the path. And when regulation becomes your foundation, everything you're calling in has somewhere to land.